Hello and welcome to another Crusader Kings 3 developer diary. This time, an offer you cannot refuse, and this one is a very interesting dev diary because this is something they've already gone over in dev diaries before, and it was one of the things that wasn't received particularly well. So this is talking about the feudal contracts back from dev diary 17, and yeah, they didn't go over so hot. Not many people liked them, so it's interesting that they're taking the opportunity to go back, look and see what people didn't like, and perhaps change it so that people will like it more. So how about we just get into it? Hello everyone and welcome to the 33rd CK3 Dev Diary. I'm Matthew, one of the programmers on the CK3 team, and today I'm going to talk to you about the overhaul we've done to feudal contracts since Dev Diary 17. So Matthew, some people better know him as Black Ninja. He was previously a modder for CK2 mods. I believe he did the Game of Thrones mod, or one of the Game of Thrones mods. I know there's been a few, before moving into Paradox themselves. So yeah, any modders out there? I know I've got quite a few modder friends. Keep working at it, and maybe you'll actually work on the games in the future if that's something you would you'd be interested in. So yeah, a quick refresher on what contracts are. Every vassal above Baron tier has an individual contract between them and their liege, which affects how much the vassal gives to the liege in terms of tax and levies in exchange for the liege's protection. In the case of feudal vassals, this contract can be renegotiated. We were not fully content with the initial implementation of this setup, as it did not help facilitate the drama and storytelling of the deals made between a vassal and their liege and the disagreements that could arise from that. This was a view shared among the community as well, which reinforced our desire to give this feature another look. So a couple of our designers, not designers, and I gave it an overhaul. Lovely, okay. So, the contract. You may have seen screenshots or videos of this system in some of the media released from our press event, but I'm going to take you through the new system step by step. So without further ado, here is the new interface you'll see when you interact with a vassal's feudal contract. So you got feudal taxes and feudal levies. That is for, I guess, every individual feudal lord beneath you, perhaps. You've got special contracts as well. Scootage being you don't get called to war with me, but you give me more money. March is more military, less money. Palatinate, I don't know specifically what that actually means. I know the Palatinate in EU4 is a country. Is it a religious thing? I am actually not sure. I guess we're going to find out in a moment. We've got coinage rights. The right to mint their own coins, perhaps. Got succession rights. Forced partition could be interesting. War declaration, letting them, declare war or not. Counter rights, title revocation, and it's got that just the little touches, like those wax seals on the bottom, add so much. I love that. Wax seals with their little, their sigils, their coat of arms on it. I love that. I think that's awesome. So it's a feudal contract and obligations. You can see how much feudal tax they're getting, how many levies they're getting. You can use a hook to make them, desire to say yes to this as well, I guess. So yeah, pretty cool. As you can see, there are a lot more options now to tailor the contract. Going from top to bottom, you can see we split up the base tax and levy obligations into two separate tracks, each now with 5 options. These are the core base of how much taxes and levies are given to the liege. The lower they are, the more their vassal will like you, of course, and the higher they are, the less content they will be. When negotiating a new deal, you can only move to adjacent levels of the tax and levy obligations. Right, I'm going to pause this just a moment, and I'm going to go and have a look at the old version, just to refresh my memory of what we used to have. Alright, so I found it. This is what we used to have. Feudal contract, low, normal, and high. And, yeah. So, that's a lot less interesting, for sure. Very, very much so. I'm glad they changed that, because that doesn't seem very interesting at all. Let's go and see if there's anything else in here as well. Not really, but you can do individual feudal contracts with everyone, so that hasn't changed. Alright, okay. Well, it's definitely good that they have changed it then. And looking on the forums on this particular dev diary got some backlash. It actually wasn't very well liked at all. Although I will say they did change the forums recently, so it may have just reset everything, and that'll be why there's so few likes and such on it. But yeah, it's good that they've changed that, and this system here looks way better. Not only because, there's a piece of parchment there with, some kind of interesting flavor in it, but because there's just more there. Special contracts, you got your taxes and levies split. This is a really good change, and it looks like they're responding to criticism in a positive way, which is fantastic. Alright, below we will have what we call fine print options. These fine options are unlocked via various innovations and provide various modifications to the contract. The first row being special contract options of scutage, march, and palatinate, which are available for vassals that are dukes or kings. So scutage, men-at-arms maintenance goes down. Okay, interesting. They give you fewer levies and more taxes, as I was saying, yes. They'll pay 50% more tax. They'll provide 75% fewer levies. Alright. And then we've got the March contract. Their army maintenance, I guess, just goes down in general. Oh no, this is just men-at-arms maintenance. This is army maintenance. Gotcha. Levy size goes up, garrison size goes up, army maintenance goes down, controlled territory defender advantage goes up, levy reinforcement rate goes up, fantastic. They'll receive bonuses to their levies and defensive capabilities, but provide 50% less tax than what their feudal taxes obligation dictates. And then finally we've got the Palatinate one, which gives you, looks like, fewer taxes and fewer levies. They'll give you more prestige though. Alright. It's just a token vassal. Fellow vassal opinion plus 15. The vassal also gets more prestige themselves. Schemes are more likely to fire. Okay. While subject to a Palatinate contract, the vassal enjoys many privileges within the realm, which increases their standing and gives them more political clout. Palatinate vassals increase their liege's prestige, but provide 20% less tax and levies than what their feudal taxes and feudal levy obligations dictate. Okay, interesting. Okay, I get it. It's fine. They're a prestige. It's basically money, men, prestige. Gotcha. At the bottom, we have the rest of the fine print options available. These are things like guaranteeing your vassal a spot on the council or granting them coinage rights. Some options are only shown if the vassal meets specific conditions. For example, if the vassal is of a different faith to the liege, in which case the religious protection gives them special rights to practice their faith without the risk of the liege demanding their conversion or converting the faith of their provinces. When negotiating the contract, a max of 3 changes may be made. We experimented with different values and felt like this wasn't too limiting, while also letting you not too wildly change your contract in one go. With the new obligations that can be changed and enacted, this allows you to negotiate a more interesting deal. For example, you as the liege may want to increase the amount of taxes your vassal gives you, but doing that alone will be viewed as unfair by the vassal, increasing your tyranny. So you've got to kind of balance it then, I guess. An act of tyranny causing your subjects to lose 20 opinion of you, which is... that can add up. Especially just changing one thing. And it looks like all he's done is raise from low to normal, and it's like 20 tyranny with one... Sorry. It's 20 tyranny with every vassal, and you're only affecting one of them. Yeah, if you wanted to raise the taxes for everyone, that would be quite painful. So if you don't want to take that tyranny hit, then you need to look at what changes you can propose that the vassal will want. So in exchange for these increased taxes, you could guarantee your vassal a spot on the council, meaning you can now enact this deal without being viewed as a tyrant. Very cool. Bit of a balance thing going on. Obviously, you don't have too much council space, so you can't be giving this out willy-nilly, let's put it that way. Alternatively, if you have a hook on your vassal, then you can use that hook to count as one free change in favor of the vassal. So you can use your hook and get those higher taxes without having to give any concessions and not be viewed as a tyrant. Blackmailing people is surprisingly effective. I'm not surprised, honestly, just saying. It's worth mentioning that even if you propose a fair trade that does not give you tyranny, this does not mean that the vassal will be perfectly content. There is an opinion change tied to each obligation and what status it is in. Vassals will tend to dislike paying more and like paying less, and this opinion modifier will be present in the vassal's view of their liege. The vassal themselves can of course also negotiate the contract. They have the added restriction that they must offer the liege an even trade, so they cannot ask to pay lower taxes without using either a hook or agreeing to give the liege something they would want, be that more levies, agreeing to stay with only partition succession, or giving up a benefit they have previously been giving, such as the guaranteed council spot. Alright, also, if you could hear that beeping in the background, I apologise, my wife is making bread. Some vassals start with contracts different to the default. In the Holy Roman Empire, all vassals start with low taxes and levies to represent the internal state and the lower amount of control the emperor was exerting over their vassals at the time. We really wanted this interface to make this feel like an actual paper contract being signed between liege and vassal. Thankfully, we have this beautiful parchment background and wax seal shader lying around that helped us spice it up, and it absolutely does. Again, I can't reiterate enough how much I appreciate just the wax seals. They're adding a bit of oomph to it. Like, this is actually something that you and your vassal are negotiating because, you know, you've put your signature to it, you've put your seal to it. That's something kind of a big deal, you know? So I really appreciate that, and it looks way, way better than the old version. So, modding contracts, all these different obligations, their effects, and how the AI use them, and how they are shown in the UI is controlled in the script file, so you can mod in or exchange existing, not different, obligations to your heart's content. Lovely. Well, before we go into the mod things, I just want to talk about this a little bit more. I really appreciate, where is it? This one here. The vassals can also negotiate the contract. I love that they can do that, especially they cannot ask to pay lower taxes without either using a hook or blah, 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 blah. That your vassals can, you know, they have some dirt on you. So they would come up to your character and say, look, we here in Bavaria, we feel we're paying too much taxes. And you, of course, as the ruler of the Holy Roman Empire, would be like, absolutely not. You will give me the proper amount of taxes. And then the Duke of Bavaria is like, yeah, but I know what you did last summer. And then, obviously, you're not going to want that rumour to get out, so you're going to let him pay a little bit less in tax, because otherwise he's going to spread the shit on you. And I think it can add so much to role-playing. And yeah, this is a role-playing grand strategy game, not just a grand strategy game. Role-playing is important. And yeah, that kind of stuff, anywhere they can add more things like that is good in my book. So let's have a look at these modding things. You can change religious rights, obligation levels. There's a lot in here that I don't truly understand. That's why I don't do modding or coding or scripting kind of dev diaries. It goes right over my head. I can vaguely read it, but writing stuff for myself, no. You see the flags and how much they desire these things. Cool. If you're a modder, this is for you. There you go. Here we have the scripted database entry for the religious protection obligation type. It demonstrates the various options and should be fairly self-explanatory in its naming of the options. I hope you've all enjoyed the dev diary and are excited for new feudal contracts and the more options and interactions they can provide between vassals and lieges. We look forward to seeing you next week. Meanwhile, if you want to chat more, then I highly recommend joining our CK Discord as well. On the Crusader Things 3 team, we're of course very big fans of animals and pets of all kinds, so I thought I'd cap off this dev diary, give you all some much needed cuteness overload during these difficult times in the world, and collect a bunch of pictures of all our wonderful pets, fluffy or otherwise. How lovely. I've got Doggo, and is that a guinea pig or a mouse? I think it's a mouse. Mousy. Got a cat, of course we've got cats, lots of cats. Oh god, demon cat. I feel like this is a political compass meme. Is it like a caterpillar in there somewhere? A gecko, maybe? I don't know. There's a plant. And boids. I want my boid. More cats, more demons, more cats. And yay, I've got one of them. He's like right in front of me. It's the Platypus Imperator dude that we got at PDXCon. More cats, and that's a seal. I'm not sure that's someone's literal pet. It looks kind of drawn to me, but whatever. Lots and lots of pets. Oh, so nice. Alright, lovely. Well, before we end off this dev diary, then we're going to jump into the forums and see if there are any lovely comments from the devs to go through. And there are. When a vassal dies, does the same contract get passed down to their heir? If the person dying is at a higher tier than the heir gets the dying person's contract. If they're the same tier or below, then the heir, if already landed, will keep their current contract. What does coinage rights do? Good question. I don't know. One of the preview videos of the game, we could see something called fortification rights that you could also grant to your vassals. Is that still a thing? So coinage rights give the vassal 0.3 monthly development growth in their capital county and costs 0.02 to the liege in development rights. Fortification rights is still in. The character I was playing just did not have that innovation unlocked in their culture. If they do, then it appears and can give the vassal cheaper castle holding and build costs and a fort level, while making the liege pay more for the castle build costs. Interesting. So there's a bit of a payoff in everything that you kind of do with these vassal contracts. How does the council right work? The vassal is automatically added to the council in advisor role, or just that when a vassal asks for a position on the council, refusing would incur tyranny? So they get free use of the demand council position interaction, which the liege cannot refuse, allowing them to pick a council position and get in. Hooks can also be used for that interaction if they do not have the council rights. Of course, this means the council rights position is limited to only as many council positions as you have that your vassals can occupy. Makes sense. Looks nice and definitely a huge improvement. I have a few questions. So, will we be able to negotiate with a group of vassals at once, or copy-based contracts? That's a good question, because I imagine if you played the game and you're like in the late game, you're gonna have a lot of vassals, and you're not gonna want to go through each and every individual one. Currently, they're handed individually, which to agree self-mitigates by virtue of encouraging you to make dukes to control the counts and kings demanded the dukes. Yes, very true. But it is something we're keeping in mind for the future to see if the management of them becomes annoying and how we can ease that. I would argue that if we need a copy and paste button, then the system has become too micro, and that in itself is another issue. True. When taking over a vassal from someone else or vassalizing an independent ruler, what will the contract be set to? I said this at the top of the post, but it's basically you keep yours unless you had none of the person you're inheriting from is better. If you're a brand new vassal, then it's default tax and levies and no fine print options. Okay, so I like that it's default because that seems to be better than some, like the HRE starting with low taxes and low levies. Starting with medium for a new vassal sounds pretty good. When granting an unlanded courtier title, we'll be able to freely set the contract. I mean, they don't like it, sure, we can find someone else. It'll be the default, as stated above. Okay. How does it look on the other side when the liege or vassal presses the magic button? For example, let's say my liege tries to implement force partition for me. Do I get the partition the instant he presses the magic button, meaning I need to change the contract to exclude that clause and then need to change my succession law to escape it? Or can I instantly tell the tyrant, or tyrant, as the case may be if he offered something fair, where he can put his contract and rise up in a rebellion and keep my old contract, or perhaps even to get a better one, and I'm assuming prevail, skip the whole partition thing. You'll be informed of the change to your contract and deal with it. The AI won't do too many changes at once though, and of course, if you really dislike it, you can rebel to be free of it all. Yeah, partition seems really painful. I definitely would not like to be under partition rule, for sure. That would be bad. How will the contract work for non-feudal armies like clans? Only feudal characters can use the contract with individual obligations. The clans have a static contract which scales based on opinion. Alright. Is it moddable? Did you read the dev diary? They said it in the dev diary. Yeah. Yes, it's fully moddable. The government definitions have a list of contract options they have available to them, so you can add different contract options there to new or existing governments. Poor Duke Otto is being forced to pay higher taxes against his will and wishes, but he still likes his king even more, as seen by the +5 modifier despite being an active tyranny by his liege. That values the opinion modifiers directly from the contract option, so the +5 is there. Coming from the fact he now has low levies, which gives him +5, the tyranny is then separate from the lead contract obligations but because you gave an unfair one. Could probably clear that up. It's not Duke Otto's opinion of you, but the modifier is a sum from all of the obligations picked will note that down. Well, finding things wrong and changing them on the fly. That's great stuff. Alright, well, I like it. I like it a lot. This is a much, much better system than the previous system, which was not so great. So I'm very, very happy with this situation. This is a great change. Yeah, I can see it might get a little bit awkward towards the end of the game when you've got an empire, but honestly, there's ways around that. Like I said, having lots of kings, having lots of dukes if you are a king, so you're not interacting with each individual count. And I know in CK2 the meta way to play is to not make dukes and have everyone a count, because they can do more stuff with regards to like their religious conversion and all that. But let's be fair, that's bullshit, and you shouldn't be doing that. Why would you play meta in a roleplay game? I don't know. So I can't really see any issues with it right now, for sure. I like it. I definitely like it. It is a great change to a system that I was a bit iffy on. So, fantastic stuff. I would like to know, however, your opinion. So, if you would like to, please do leave those in the comment section below, and let me know what you think of this feudal contract change. Did you like the old system? Do you prefer the old system to this new one? Do you see any issues with it? What kind of special contract options would you like to see there? Any other changes you would like to see? Is there anything in the previous dev diaries that you hope is overhauled in a similar manner? Let me know in the comment section below. Leave a like if you like this video, and if you want to keep up to date with CK3 news and updates, and hit the subscribe button. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next one. Bye bye.